everyone, it's Gina from Gina K Designs, and I'm so excited to be back on the Simon Says Stamp blog and YouTube channel. Today, I'm going to be creating a card using a special exclusive collaboration stamp set by Gina K Designs and Simon Says Stamp called Summer Roses. The Summer Roses stamp set is a large 6x8 stamp set filled with blooms and leaves and 2 large sentiments and a bunch of little strip sentiments that go along with those large greetings. There's also a coordinating die set, and I'm going to be using one of the dies from this set today. I'm also going to be using the Master Layouts 2 die set by Gina K Designs. This die set allows you to cut panels that layer together to create all kinds of different card layouts. There's also a Master Layers 1 die set, and you can mix and match the components from both to create even more options. You can see that I cut these out, and the white panels have a cute little stitched layer around the edge, and when you mount them on top of the other panel, you get that cute little shadow layer. I love that look. Then you get the same look with the skinnier rectangle, and again that cute little shadow layer. Then the 2 little flags also have stitching around them, and they work great with the strip sentiments in this set. I'm going to begin by using a stencil like an embossing folder. I'm using the Spellbinders Platinum machine, and I'm starting with the rubber mat, and then I'm putting down the white panel that I cut with the Master Layouts 2 die set. Then I'm adding the water droplet stencil on top, and then the blue plate. I'm going to run that through the machine, and that's going to emboss my stencil design into my cardstock. This works with any die cutting machine. You just have to know what your sandwich is for embossing. And you can see that gives me the look of an embossing folder, and that really expands the use of all of the beautiful stencils you have in your collection. Now I'm going to accent some of those water droplets using the Soft Stone ink by Gina K Designs and a Simon Says Stamp blending brush. I'm not really trying to create the pattern. I just want to accent the edges of the pattern to make that embossing look even deeper. So this is the perfect color for that. It actually looks a little bit like shadows. And I'm going real light with the ink, and it's easier to go light and add a few layers than to go too dark. So you can see now it looks a little bit more embossed. You can also see on the back, it gives you a different look, so that's an option too. So I am going to stamp this large stemmed rose onto that smaller panel that I cut out using the Master Layouts 2 die set. To do that, I'm going to put a little bit of Gina K Designs adhesive dot runner on the back, and I'm going to attach it right to the Misty mouse pad. I'm doing that because the flower does extend over the edges in a few spots, so it's easier to stamp it right in the middle of the Misty. Now because I'm going to be coloring this with colored pencils, I'm going to use the Gina K Designs Black ONYX ink. You can also use the amalgam ink, and if you want to watercolor, use colored pencils, and Copics all together, definitely use the amalgam ink for that. I'm using a microfiber cloth to press on the image. It just makes it easier for my hand to slide up and down over the image. And you can see how pretty and delicate that rose is. I stamped a second one here because I'm going to use just the bloom part of it, and then I'm going to actually cut that out and put that on top of the other piece. So I'm coloring this with a green Prismacolor pencil, and I'm just coloring along the center vein and the little veins that extend out on the leaves. I like to do that, and then I'm going to do some colored pencil blending using a blending stump and some Gamsol that I have in this little cup. When you're dipping your blending stump into the Gamsol, make sure that you give it a minute so that the blending stump can actually absorb a little bit of the Gamsol. Don't just dip it in real quick and back out again, because it'll wet the surface of the blending stump, but it won't absorb into the blending stump and it will be too dry. I'm just going right over the parts that I did with the colored pencil and working in a circular motion, bringing that color down almost to white. And you can color these any way you want with any kind of coloring medium, but colored pencils are just a fun, quick way for me to color this and give it a little bit of shading. Now I'm using a purple pencil along the bottoms of each petal where the petals appear to be coming out of the center of the flower. Some tilt down and some flip up, but I'm just coloring right along the bottoms of each of those petals. When I get to the smaller petals, I'm not going to add quite as much colored pencil because I'll have a lot of purple on my blending stump. And then I'm just going to color right over the darkest part of the purple and in a circular motion bring it down to the bottom of the petal almost till it turns white. I like to leave a little bit of white space when I'm coloring with colored pencils in Gamsol. I think that gives it a neat look. And this is definitely a quick way to color and shade. There are lots of great videos out there on the Simon Says Stamp YouTube channel showing beautiful artistic ways to color with colored pencils, Copic markers, and watercolor. I'm not an artist, I'm a crafter, so I just like to do it the easy way, and this is kind of an easy, fun way for me to achieve the look of a little bit of shading. Now that that's all colored in, I'm going to use a pair of Tim Holtz scissors. These are the mini scissors, and I love them because they have a little bit of a serrated edge, and that really helps to grab the paper as you're fussy cutting around those edges. And I'm going to cut this bloom out. Now, you could use one of the blooms that has a die, but I don't want any white edge around here, so I would fussy cut it anyway. Now I'm using a little bit of Versamark, and I'm going to stamp the big hello greeting onto a piece of white cardstock. I want to make sure that I get good contact with the stamp, so I'm using my microfiber cloth to rub over the surface of the MISTI. Now I'm using a little bit of the Gina Designs Fine Detail Gold Embossing Powder, and I'm going to emboss that with my Wagner heat tool. Once that's done, I'm going to add a coordinating strip sentiment. I'm going to use the Sweet Friend, and I'm using the smaller of the two strips that I cut out with the Master Layouts 2 die set. Now, I like to pick up the greeting. I like it to be on the counter where I can see it, and then just grab it with my acrylic block. This way, with these larger strip sentiments, there's no chance of distorting it or curving it when you're applying it to your acrylic block. I'm going to use some Versamark for this stamp as well, and I'm going to emboss this one with gold powder too. I think that ties the big hello greeting in with the strip sentiment if they're both stamped in gold. Now you could also do this by cutting the strip using black cardstock for a completely different look. But both would look great with that fine detail gold powder. So I'm going to add some powder to this, and then I am going to heat emboss it again with my Wagner heat tool. I'm using a pair of tweezers just to hold on to the edge here, but you can also use a wooden clothespin. So now my strip sentiment is all embossed to match my hello piece. But I'm going to cut that hello piece out, but I'm going to use a little trick that I like to use when I'm cutting a more intricate die. So I'm going to cut the die out first in a brighter colored cardstock. This is the Gina Designs Peach Bellini color. And I'm going to throw out, well, not throw out, I'll keep it for something else, but I'm not going to use it right now. Instead, I'm going to place it over the piece that I want to cut out, make sure that it's lined up perfectly, and then I'm going to drop the die right into the hole. This way, I already know where it's going to cut because I could see that by placing the cut peach piece on top and making sure that all the white edges were evenly spaced before I dropped the die down. And now you can see this is perfectly cut out using that coordinating die. Now it's time to lay the card out. I'm going to use a piece of vellum over the center here of this strip just to kind of quiet down the coloring behind the hello. I really want that hello to pop. And so by using this little bit of vellum, it just kind of tamps down the leaves behind it. Although you can still see them and they're still very pretty, that vellum just makes everything look really nice and peaceful behind there. And once I have added the vellum, and you can see I just wrapped it around that piece of cardstock so you don't have to worry about adhesive showing through. I layered it onto a black piece, and now I'm going to layer the piece that I used the stencil with onto black as well. I've layered it onto a purple card base, and now this is the layout that I'm going to do for my finished card. Once that's adhered together, I'm going to pop up that purple fussy cut piece out on top to give that flower lots of dimension. And I'm just going to lay it right on top, excuse my head for getting in the way here, but right on top. And so the flower really pops out. It doesn't get lost behind that big hello. And you can see when you turn it to the side or look at it from the top, you're able to see all of that dimension. So there is my finished card project. Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I hope you'll give some of these techniques a try. The Summer Roses Stamp and Die set is available exclusively at Simon Says Stamp. Thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.